Hello, everyone. So, as you know, we have got some building works that are happening in school. They're putting a roof on the rotunda so we can open up some more lunchtime space. The problem with the building works is that we've got a corridor that's been completely taken out of action in terms of getting you around the building, and it's causing some pinch points around school. And so, we're going to try and address those pinch points where it's quite difficult to move around the building. So, we need to make sure that we have a particular way of walking around the building. This is going to start from a Wednesday morning. What we'd like to happen is at lesson changeover. So as you can see on those times on the board there, where we have from form time to period one to period two to break. The times you see here on this right hand side, when people come out of classrooms and run to a main corridor, is that we're going to instigate a one-way system. We did something similar at the end of last year involving staircases, but it has to, now that we've got 5 full year groups in with this building work going on, we're going to have to go one step further. So essentially, Manor is a school who's got the majority of its classrooms along one long corridor. This is Manor, the layout of the building on the first floor with maths and English and science on the top corridor. Okay, see those classrooms there. On the ground floor, whilst we've got the assembly hall and lunchbox, sports hall, and a few classrooms over towards music, again, the majority of the classrooms at Manor are down one long corridor. This is along the ground floor. Okay? The ground floor has technology, humanities, arts, and so on. Now, what we need to happen until October half term, and then we'll review, and possibly until the end of the building works, is to have a one-way system happening in school on the corridors at changeover in this main corridor. How it will work is on the first floor, you are only going to be allowed to walk at lesson changeover, only allowed to walk in one direction along the corridor. Okay, so along this top staircase, the direction of travel will be from Millfield Lane or from the maths end to the AstroTurf. So we're walking away from Millfield Lane. Whichever way you come out, you're going to have to walk that direction. The reason for that is that we have often a pinch point just here, whilst I'm drawing that big red spot, which is the English to maths changeover corridor, where we have people turning left, people turning right, people trying to cross over, and it gets quite congested. So for this first floor, entry onto the corridor from the 11 balcony, from the main staircase, will be through that corridor from the maths toilets. Okay, and then we are turning right and we're walking down the corridor. So this is going to involve you getting your thinking caps on and starting to think and look at your timetable, how you're going to move around the building now that there's a one-way system in place. The staircase at the end is an upset of staircase as well. So this is on the top floor. We are basically making sure that we walk one way down the corridor. As I said over here, movement is one way only towards the AstroTurf. Get onto the corridor. You can get onto the corridor from the main staircase, from the maths toilets, that direction, but you cannot leave the corridor that way. Again, as I've mentioned, we're getting a lot of clashing in terms of students trying to come backwards and forwards. You won't be able to leave the corridor via that way. You'll have to go round. You'll have to go the long way round, and this will add on time onto your journey time between lessons. But teachers are aware of that. Teachers know that, because it's more important that we get you going in the right direction and we avoid some of the kind of pinch points that we have in school, some of the clashes that are happening. The pastoral staircase will be up and down staircases. So if you've got maths in, say, Mrs. Best's room and you need to get down to art, you can walk along and down the staircase to get to that direction. Okay? As I said, it's entry only from this corridor. Down here, where we've got the science corridor and the science toilets, the pinch point is less. That's because the classrooms are bigger, there aren't so many in a smaller space, so you can get onto and off the corridor on this first floor via the science toilets, and that's going to be important for what I describe later on. The science stairs at the bottom are going to be down, okay? They are down staircases. So that's one way that we'll be going. We'll all be walking at lesson changeover on the first floor from Wednesday morning. On the downstairs corridor, on the ground floor, Again, it's one way only, but it's the reverse. So we're walking from the direction from the Astro towards Millfield Lane, towards humanities and towards history. Okay, the way you get off that corridor is towards the lunchbox in this way. You cannot get entry onto this corridor via the main corridor entrance from the main entrance. You're going to have to go up the red stairs and around. Okay, the reason for that is that, again, at this point here, the Humanities Junction is where we're getting a lot of congestion, a lot of people in a small space, and we need to make sure that everyone is safe around the building and we can walk kind of in one direction. Okay. Now, this is going to mean getting onto your humanities corridors is going to be quite tricky. For those of you who have, I'll go back to the top bit here. For those of you who have a form room, or you might be coming from P3 or music or drama, you're going to have to make sure, if you want to go on to the history corridor, the RS or whatever, you're going to have to go up a level first to come down onto that corridor. So you're going to have to come up the stairs, the main staircase, potentially walk around here, walk along this corridor down to science, go down the stairs and then round. So we've come down the stairs and then round this way. You won't be able, I'll show this in blue so you can see, you won't be able to get onto the corridor from the main entrance point here at lesson changeover. And that's because we've got lots of people that will be coming in this direction, lots of people that will be coming this way in order to get to the lunchbox for break time. Because we've got this block due to construction, because we've got this block over here outside the DT toilets, because we can't get round there, it means that the flow of people around school is now significantly limited. And it means there's lots of people on a corridor, and it means it's difficult for people to get around unless we're all going in the same direction. So at lesson changeover, what will happen is that we need to move in one direction around the building, depending on the floor you're on. So just one last time. If you are on the first floor, you need to walk from maths to English and down in this direction. Okay. If you're on the ground floor, you have to move in the direction from technology to humanities. Okay. This will start from Wednesday morning. Okay. That you're hearing this either in assembly on Tuesday or in form time in assembly, or hearing it again in assembly on Wednesday or in form time in assembly, so that you can understand the need for us to change this and to have the directions moving as they are. What I would do is I would have a look at your timetable now and start to work out the direction you're going to have to walk. For some people, it may well involve walking an awful long way around to get to a classroom that's nearby, but we have to do that to make sure that those junctions, those points are clear and we've got everyone moving in the same direction. Thank you, everyone.